Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be doing some work on the Mustang today. So if you guys don't know, this is my 2008 Mustang GT. It is a Department Boost supercharged, and it has a 6R80 swap, so it's got 6-speed automatic out of the newer Mustangs. Basically, the last video, or one of the last videos, I went to the track with it, and on the way there, the steering was feeling like really shaky. I did get some new wheels, but they were balanced. So I did some looking here, and if you put your hands on the 3 and 9 position here and shake it back and forth, you'll see that pretty much on both sides, it will like have a bit more play than what should be acceptable, I would think. So I post online, others were saying that it definitely looks like that's a bit too much movement on the front wheels. The steering wheel's locked, so it's nothing to do with that. And also when I originally tested it, one of the wheels was on the ground. I had to just lift up the other one to test. Basically, common things that go wrong on these generation Mustangs, the 05 to 14 is the front lower control arms. It has built into it the ball joint. Those ones are very typical to go out on these. Also, only other thing really could be like the wheel hub or the tie rod. So I'm eventually going to be doing a electric power steering swap on the Mustang, so I'm not going to replace those today, but I am going to be replacing the lower control arm, which there's a trick to that, and then also the wheel hub, which should be pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, first we're going to start with just removing the wheels here. So before you jump to the conclusion that it might be like suspension components, you could just take off your wheel and make sure that it is actually bolted flush to it and evenly. I did that when I was testing, so that's all good. Under here gives you a better idea of what we're working with. There might be some glare because it's really bright out, but here's the lower control arm. So it bolts to the rear part of the subframe there. It bolts to the front part right here, and then this is where the ball joint is, right here. So already got some WD-40 on these just to make it a bit easier. These ones are 22 millimeter, as well as I believe the bolt that's right here. One problem with this whole thing, like when you're replacing it, is this bolt does not actually have enough room to come out without hitting the tie rod here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbolt the arm here and lower it and try to get out of the way. You can push it up. The worst case scenario is you unbolt the two bolts holding the steering rack in and you just move it forward, but we can get away with that. Looks like I got some spiders up here, but I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. Basically just gonna start taking that apart. Also take apart the caliper, remove the brake rotor, and then we can get to the I guess you can't really see it in there, but get to the wheel hub here. All right guys, so first one here is a 21 millimeter. I bought this wrench for this specifically because I didn't need it. Also, on the opposite side, there might not be a lot of clearance. I didn't know how much clearance there was between the bolt or the nut and my headers. So I just got this. It looks like I probably get a socket on there. This one, unless you remove the inner fender liner, you might not be able to get to it, but this should be able to take it off. All right, just loosened it just a little bit. And then 21 millimeter is pretty close to 7/8, so if you have a 7/8 ratcheting, it should probably work for that as well. See, now that it's loose, you can easily just use like a ratcheting tool like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that one off, probably get under the car to reach the other side, and then we can work on taking off the tow rod, or the steering arm here, whatever you call it, tie rod. And then we can get to that bolt right there. All right guys, so we got that bolt and nut out there. You're gonna wanna keep the hardware because you're gonna be reusing it. And then on this side, you can see the next one. So same deal. It does actually look like there's quite a bit of room, so I might be able to get a socket on here, but I'm just gonna do it kind of how I did with the other one. Just with the 21 mil wrench and then the 7/8 ratcheting wrench just to kind of get it out of there fast. All right, quick little note here. So I actually could not get enough leverage down there with that wrench, even with the second one kind of on there. So I was able to get the breaker bar in right here. That way I was able to break it loose. So now it is actually loose. I'm gonna go on the inside where I'm actually gonna be able to reach it. I mean, I guess I could do it like this. Probably just take a while. Maybe I could do it the lower. I definitely recommend one of these adjustable wrenches because this helps, but I also don't want to accidentally put it, you know, top it out and hit the headers there and not be able to remove the wrench. So we'll see how it goes here. It's just going to be a combination of using those wrenches or my breaker bar here. All right, guys, so got this side off right here. Now I'm going to turn my attention to the ball joint and then the steering arm here. So the one over there, that one's actually 18 mil. This is an 18 mil with a 15 mil head. This is also an 18 mil. So I'm just going to buzz these off real fast, and then we can turn attention to this, and then we can remove it. All right, just got my 15 mil on and the 18 impact, and that just took it off right off here. Can't really, only have one hand, so I can't really show you everything, but that off, and then this will just push out. I'll just get like a little mallet or whatever, pull it out, and then we can remove the ball joint there. This will just separate downwards from the whole spindle assembly here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take this off real quick. I can do that one-handed. And that should come out as well, just with a little hammer tap. Just a little tip as well. You might just want to put the nut on just so you don't damage the threads. Whack it like that. All right, guys, so got that loose. Unfortunately, one of the nuts, like I told you that trick, maybe it needs to go on upside down, but it kind of bent the edge there. Maybe we get in the light, you can see better. And I might have broke this tie rod because I tried putting on there to straighten it out, but now it just twists it. So I'll look into maybe just getting a replacement. I'll see if it's kind of like that on the other side. If it is, no big deal, just get new outer tie rods. It's getting an alignment anyways after this, so shouldn't be a problem. And that is the other, you know, possibility for why it would moving like that, you know, the out of alignmentness or whatever. So now that that's out, you can see this. I don't know if it's also supposed to remove this much. Probably not. If it's like, I don't know, seems fine. The boot's not broken, but anyways, this spins when you put the nut on. It spins the whole thing basically, so might be trash, but anyways, now you can see also that where we got the bolt out. So this should now come out. We just need to pry it, and kind of broke this loose a little bit. But this guy here, just need a little bit more, and then this control arm can come out. All right, guys, it has been a minute. I've been doing some stuff and trying to get this loose. So basically got this just a bit out there. I made some mistakes that hopefully you guys will benefit from, because I really did not need to go through some of this hassle that I thought I did. But so some of these, like that part of the control arm, they do not have, like that is welded in, that nut there. It looks like it wasn't, but it's not. Or sorry, it looks like it was a nut, but it is in fact welded in to hold it on. I was really heating that, trying to get it to go. You can kind of see that it stripped the sides a bit. That was totally my bad, and I made the same mistake under here too. So I disconnected this. I also decided to disconnect part of the steering rack as it would give me some more room. When you look at this, you think that's just like an 18 mil nut holding it on. It's not. It's welded in, so tacked in there. You have to get an 18 mil up there and just undo it. But now this gives me some maneuverability to get the bolt out here. So I'm going to keep at this one until it's out. As you can see, it's pretty loose. I might need to loosen that part of the steering rack more as well to just give me as much room as possible. The steering arm up to the steering wheel, that might also be something I need to undo, but you know, we'll see. This is almost out here, guys. I was like banging my head on the concrete trying to figure it out, which I really shouldn't have, because I don't know, just the videos I watched, I didn't mention those being welded in, and they look like nuts, so I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out, and we'll be back. All right, guys, so with that unbolted, that slightly loosened. I also did have to disconnect the steering arm there, so you can see that's right there. The knuckle is kind of out of frame right up in there. And pried it forward, and then I was able to pull this bolt all the way out. Just one one mess up from Ford, I guess. But now this thing can come out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wiggle it out and pull out the control arm here. All right guys, got the control arm off. Basically what I had to do is push the front disc forward. That allows it to kind of give you leverage to slide it out this way. So control arm's completely out now. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the caliper off, kind of tie it up, get the brake rotor off, take off this cap, and then we can break loose the spindle and remove the whole hub here. So first off, I'm just gonna show you this. So as far as I know, this is the original one. I don't know if this amount of play is normal, but it's like really loose. My understanding of suspension parts is that it shouldn't be this movable, but I don't know. The boot looks like to be in good condition actually. And yeah, everything else seems fine on it. This is the original part off the car as far as I know. And it's got all the Ford markings on it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start taking off the brake rotor and get the spindle off, or get the hub off. All right guys, first step is removing your brake calipers. You could probably take it off as like a full unit, but with these Brembos, you have to take off the bracket. Once that's disconnected, you could take it all off as one, I believe, because it holds it on right there. But I'm gonna take this off, bungee cord it up, connect it up to the coil up here, and then take the brake rotor off separately. It's just two 15mm bolts. Got one right there, one down there. So now that that's off, I can take this. There's the brake pads and caliper. I'm gonna go ahead and string it up and then take the rotor off. Kind of had to do that off camera, but got this strung up just for the bolt holes. You just don't want any tension on the brake line. I have metal brake lines, so they're a bit stouter, but right here should be fine. And my brake rotors are, sometimes there's challenges getting your brake rotors off. These ones, I've put anti-seize behind them before, so should be easy. And then clean up these rotors before I put them back on. They're pretty heavy. Need to do something about that, get some weight reduction. So anyways, here's the wheel hub. Sounds fine. But what you do from here is you just yeah, take off this cap here, and then it should slide off. Should be that simple. If it's not, you can get like a puller that'll have prongs that pull on this side and push on the center. So any like crankshaft puller, lawnmower puller, stuff like that should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a pick and get this off, then we can break it loose. All right guys, you just get a thin screwdriver, flathead, and just pound it out. This is a metal cap, so just be careful not to puncture it. I kind of did a little bit. There we go. So yeah, I kind of stamped that out. I might need to fix that. That's probably fine. It actually doesn't touch anything in there. Anyways, there is the axle nut. This is a 36mm. It's also one-time use. So when you get a new wheel hub, it should come with one. I'm gonna go ahead and get mine on here. Only problem is there's no control arm to kind of really hold it. So I think I might just bring it like all the way over or something. We'll figure it out. I don't want to be torquing on this. So depending on how it goes with the control arm, I might install the control arm first before I try to do this. This is only being held up by like 4 nuts up there. So we'll see how it goes. I might be able to get my impact on it, which should put less strain on it. Alrighty, moment of truth here. Oh, if it was plugged in, might be. Alright, now here we go. Boom. There we go. Not seen one like this before. Kind of strange, but was really simple to get off. Here's some bearings in there. I don't know if that's normal to hear them like that. These it was like cheap enough just to replace them, you know, with my suspicion of the wheel and stuff. Probably not needed, but it's also a good opportunity to, if you replace them, to get new studs, because it was actually my front wheels, the studs were kind of getting messed up. So New ones are always good. Good addition. This one had a lot of crud in it. But spins fine, actually. There you go, guys. But full control arms off, wheel hubs off, and at that point you could also just replace your tie rod, which I might look into. I wouldn't do the inner tie rod, just do the outer one. It seems fine, but also with the thing it was spinning in there. I don't know much about tie rods. I'll have to look and see if that's normal. But yeah, it's probably a good idea to clean up everything now, clean up all the surfaces, put NECs here inside where the control arm goes, clean that up. Just get some Scotch-Brite sandpaper, all the surfaces, brake clean it. And yeah, should be good there. I've actually not received my parts yet, so still waiting on that. So I will probably just jump back to when I have them and continue with the install. So just now that we're halfway, I'd recommend you check out some of our other videos. We're rebuilding this Trans Am here, putting a 408 stroker. So that's a 6.7 liter V8. It's also getting rebuilt 4L60 that we did. We have Pontiac Bonneville stuff. We also have Camaro, like 3800 content. Rebuilding a new motor for Tristan's Bonneville here. It's gonna be supercharged. One of the Camaros is gonna be turbocharged there. Go drag racing. We also have Patreon. So yeah, check out some of our other stuff. Jury Rig Garage. Leave a comment on how I'm doing here. I'm kind of struggling, dying a little bit. But now that you do one side, the other side is gonna be so much easier. And yeah, I'm gonna pretty much just show you guys one side of all this here because it's just the same on the other. But yeah, we'll be back. All right, guys, it is the next day. So I had gotten some parts, and unfortunately FedEx, like always, is just messing up, I guess. I don't know. I personally have had a lot of bad experience with this FedEx delivery because it said it was supposed to be coming yesterday when I was working on the car, and it didn't. And then only the control arms came. The wheel hubs still say, like, now it doesn't even have a scheduled delivery date. It just says pending. So we'll see what that's about. But here are the new ones. The old Chris fix out with the old in with the new. So this stuff, these are Moog, and they're pretty good from what I can tell. Really solid. And I was wondering about how much play is acceptable. So like I'm barely putting pressure on it, whatever, and it's able to move. These ones I can't move at all. Comparing the two, this one is like, this is the driver's side that I just replaced. This side is really, really stiff. I mean, I can move it. It's kind of hard just with one hand, but like I can move it. See, once it's moving, it's easier to move. But like this one not that hard to move. This one's way stiffer than that one. I don't know if that's just like defect of this one. But either way, this one is still like really sturdy. Like I can't move it just by that, but if I were to do the same force, I mean, you can see how much it's moving. So I'm gonna go ahead and at least install this and probably just start tearing down the passenger side. In the end edit of all this, it won't look like it's multiple days at all. It'll just be like I show you and order the, you know, all that. Also, I did order new tie rods. Reason being, this tie rod here, I mean, it looks to be in okay condition. It's just the top, like I tried putting that nut on and it just spun it. And what I know about, like, you know, the new control arm, that's really stiff. This one I can move really easily. And my understanding of tie rods and all these, they're not supposed to be able to do that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and unbolt it here. Just put some penetrating fluid on it and break loose this jam nut right here. And once that's broken loose, I can spin this whole end outer tie rod off. Just count how many times it spins off, and then the new one that I put on, just do the reverse of that. And this is all getting a alignment anyways, so it's not the end of the world to do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably just start installing the control arm, and then we can worry about getting this off. And I'll do the other side off camera. You don't need to see that, you just need to see how to do one side. And yeah, we'll be back. All right guys, I got the control arm all prepared. So I put some grease on the bushing side right here, and that's just towards the front of the car. Also put some grease in the actual socket area, just so it slips in easier. It's really the only surface that I would think needs grease. I could maybe put some on the boot right on the top, but I'm gonna go ahead and try sliding this in and just getting a bolt through just so we can start on getting this bolted up. Additionally, like I mentioned, the tie rod nut, I had broken one of them, so I actually had some spare bolts that had these, I'm not sure what exactly they're called, but they hit the metal and just allow you to thread a bolt through without having to put a wrench on that side. One of them I knocked out with a hammer, the other one I used a angle grinder to get it out. So I'll just use the better of the two to see if that works. They're literally the same nut, it just had one of those on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and try putting this guy on now, and I'll be right back. Well guys, got it in there. I was doing it by one hand and I was holding it like this, and must have rammed it into the freaking knuckle there because it kind of split my pinky a little bit. Right there too. Anyways, so you just get in that position there. This actually slid in really easily. You can see it can move up and down really easily. I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolt through and then get the nut and bolts through on this side right here. How to get this in position. It's kind of hidden on this, that's why it's kind of being uncooperative. There's a lot of moving pieces here, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those through and only lightly tighten them down. You only want to lightly tighten them down. I mean, ideally you'd want to fully torque them down with the weight of the suspension on there. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get this kind of loosely tightened or hand tight, and then I'm going to get my floor jack under the suspension and lift it up to kind of load it, and then I'll be able to torque it down. All right guys, so just basically got these ones in first, just so I can kind of align it. Then I had to get on my back under here. Got to get a pry bar into the steering rack to move it forward. Got the bolt in. As you're pushing wiggly on this, also move the control arm, and you'll be able to get it in there. So now this is threaded just a little bit. These ones are also threaded. I'm going to tighten these down just a little bit. We still want to be able to move this to get the ball joint and the knuckle. I might even just like barely thread these at all, just leave it where it is and then get that in, and then just slowly stitch everything down. All right guys, got this all in. So while these were loose, I just popped this in here, the ball joint, and got the 50 mil socket on there, 18 mil impact, got that through. Just tightened all the bolts for the rear, and then the front, I did tighten them just a smidge. And unfortunately just have to wait for those freaking other parts. I could lift up from the bottom, just jack up to load the suspension to torque these down right now, but I kind of just want to wait until this is a full unit. I also sprayed this with some brake clean and used a soft bristle brush to kind of like clean it up, and wiped it down with a paper towel, so now it's like completely clean surface for the new wheel hub. And then I tried reattaching the tie rod, and like I showed, this thing just spins, so I don't know if it's just bad. It does have these, you know, teeth at the front where I'd imagine you might put a socket and then you have a wrench on there to break it loose in case it's spinning, but that doesn't really help when you're, you know, trying to put this on. As you can see, this obviously isn't going to be a good example, but no matter what I do, it just like spins the entire thing. I mean, unless I was able to somehow get like something on this, but I wouldn't be able to, unless maybe like, I don't even know, get some type of locking wrench on the actual ball or something so it doesn't spin. I don't know what the deal is. I'll have to look at some videos, but for the meantime, I'm probably just actually going to disconnect this. We still need to do the other side, so it's not like I need steering at the moment. And I'll do that all off camera, and with the power of editing, you'll just see once I have the wheel hub and install that, and the tie rod, actually, that should be coming in 2 days. So all in all, have this like completely done in 2 days. You'll see it, just like the step-by-step process. So we will be back. Just a quick note with this tie rod, I got it up into the knuckle here, and then I got my 21 mil wrench and just like pretty much bench pressed it up. The nut is loose now, so we can go ahead and start removing the tie rod. Yep, you can see now it is loose, and that's kind of where it was. So now it's time to memorize how many turns it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, and like a quarter. So it's good to remember how many turns just for so your alignment's kind of like close to what it was. So yeah, maybe since I have new ones on the way, I could tear into this one, see what might be going on with it. You can see by hand, it's still pretty stiff, it's just not like, I don't know why it spins like that. All right guys, got this side done as well, just got the control arm on and the tie rod off. Also is the wheel hub. So here are the old parts. So driver's side seemed like the tie rod was worse. Both of these ball joints seem about the same. Really wobbly with the hand. This wheel hub, the passenger side wheel hub, felt a lot worse. There's a lot of movement in there, a lot of noise. So definitely could have been the wheel hub as well. They go side to side, and I just don't feel like it should move that way. Driver's side tie rod though, this one was pretty good. I mean, it's got a lot of stiffness still in it, which is nice. So the passenger side tie rod, really loose. This one's stiff. This feels like this should be new, almost. Same part, obviously, but now just gotta wait for the wheel hubs and tie rods to show up. They're actually showing up tomorrow, so should be able to wrap up everything then. Hey guys, it is the next day. I now have the second to last piece I need. It's like combining the Triforce here, or collecting all the pieces. It's like, first was waiting for just the wheel hubs and the control arms. Control arms came first. Still waiting on the wheel hubs. I ordered some outer tie rods. Those are supposed to be here later today. So still do not have all the pieces. It's just like a broken record here, but I should have it later today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to install these wheel hubs, and then I'm going to reinstall this tie rod right here, because this one was actually, from what I could tell, still good. And just to test a single one, just to see if there's any movement, because I'm kind of impatient. I don't want to wait for the new one to come, and I just want to kind of install this real fast just to see. I'll be taking it off, obviously, and replacing it with the new one, but I just want to see how that goes. So taking a look at these wheel hubs here, compare them to the old ones. These are universal, so means like either side this should work. There's no like driver passenger side. You can see it's like hardened steel. And then the new wheel studs, they are also anodized, or whatever it is, you know, it's got a coating on it, so less likely to rust or have any problems like that. Looking at them, they look a little bit different. Like this bearing face is a lot wider than this one, and it felt like the same. Like the movement in there kind of feels the same as this one. I haven't shaken it yet to see if there's any like clacking or anything like that. No noise at all. Whereas these ones, both of them had that much noise. So interesting. It's got the ABS ring on it, and these just slide right on. And then we get the new axle nut on, torque that down to something ridiculous like 220 foot-pounds of torque, 221. I'll put it on the screen, obviously. But now that we're done with the control arms, those were really the main work that I had to do. All this rest stuff's gonna be really easy. Just reinstall this, axle nut, and then brake rotor, brake caliper. And then for testing, I'm just gonna put that outer tie rod back on, and that just screws on 21 1/4 times, or up to the jam nut. The other side was 21 3/4. Also, I don't know the length difference between these ones and the Moog ones that I bought. We'll see if they're the same length. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this on. It'll be really easy. Probably not gonna put this straight on. People do recommend putting like anti-seize on there. This doesn't. I'm probably just gonna not do that, because this is all clean surface as well, and it came off really smooth before, so nice. I'm gonna go ahead and get the new lock nut on here and torque that down. I'm gonna Google the torque specs real fast and then torque it down. All right guys, center wheel nut is fully torqued down, spins all good. Got the tie rod back in, put some anti-seize on there just so it's easy to come off. Kind of just good practice to do that. So that's all good, not loose or anything like that. That was also in better condition, the one that was on here. This is the passenger side. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the brake rotor, put that on, re-bolt on my caliper, and then we can torque the wheel on and see if we have any movement. All right guys, got the rotor cleaned up, and I got just a socket and then the lug nut on there to hold it straight on. Now we can go ahead and move the caliper on and then bolt up the face of it right here. Just gotta grab these bolts out, just bolt it through, and it's 15 mil. And then we can put the wheel on and then test for any like sloppiness in it. Oh, it is really nice having new studs. These lug nuts just like slide on so easily versus the other ones. They did not at all. Oh boy, that is solid. Literally, so when I had first like looked into this, I had just made sure, I think I mentioned this, I made sure that the wheels were like centered on the face of the rotor, like well, it wasn't like binding up anywhere. And when I took the wheel off, I shook the caliper, and this is so solid now. Before it was moving so much. It really must have been like I mean, I replaced everything obviously, but I really think it was the ball joints on the control arm that were doing it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the wheel on real fast. Actually, my jack up from the bottom, I did not actually torque these down all the way. So I'm just going to load up the suspension with the jack under the control arm. It'll just lift it up, and then I'll just torque down everything. All right guys, got everything all torqued down, got the wheel on, got the lugs on, used some cardboard like stacked on there so I didn't like hurt anything while I loaded the suspension. Everything spins fine. That noise is just the brake rotor, or the brake rotor hitting the brake pad. So I'm gonna tweak on the 3 and 9 o'clock position and see if we have any more movement. Oh, so much more solid. Like I showed you, I'll put again on the screen what it was like before. But it was literally like over an inch movement. Like this has a little bit of play, which I still believe is a little normal. Also the tie rod hasn't been replaced yet. That was just the better of the two that I have at the moment. But yeah, that's way more solid. Awesome. So I'm probably just going to take this wheel back off here and remove that tie rod in anticipation for the new one coming. And then next step would just be taking it to the alignment shop and getting it all aligned. All right guys, I'm just now waiting for those tie rods. Both sides are pretty much completely done. I got the hubs installed, I got the suspension loaded, and I torqued down everything to spec. Everything turns nice, looks all good. I replaced I put the caps back on. Those caps are there to prevent moisture from getting in and messing up the hub or the hub bolt or hub nut. So also on this one where I punctured it, both sides I did this, but I put just some RTV on the back of it. It'll probably make it harder to remove in the future, but I mean, it's whatever. If anything, I would just break these, removing them the second time, and then just buy some replacements. So not the end of the world. It just makes it so that it is watertight. So now this is fully torqued down. One other side note that was really my bad and definitely contributing, not so much to like the you know, how much it wobbled or whatever, but the tie rods here for my Roush Stage 2 suspension, this boot up here had ripped, and then also this was totally loose, and this one was as well. There's literally air between the nut and this wall. If you moved it, the whole thing would move. So this side of the sway bar was effectively disconnected. It had several mils of movement back and forth. So overall, good idea to check your suspension every once in a while. Once I get those tie rods, I'm going to go ahead and install them. Those ones are really easy. You just do them, you know, how many turns you took to remove them, just 21 1/4, 21 3/4 from the other side, and then tighten up the jam nut, and then that should put you close enough where you can be able to drive to an alignment shop. So once I have the tie rods on, I'm going to take it down to the alignment shop and then get a full alignment all around, and then we should be golden. All right guys, finally got the tie rods here, just showed up. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly throw them on. I'm gonna compare them to the old one. It's over there, kind of out of frame. Compare it to the old one. Actually might be right around here, but just struggling to take this out. Compare it in length, because I think this is actually a bit shorter. And then this difference between this one and the original was this actually has a Zerx fitting on it, so I can grease it. It looks like it's come pre-greased a little bit. I might add more. And then also has a castle nut, so you can put the pin through. And feeling this is like actually really stiff. So compared to the one that was bad, it was flopping everywhere. And then even the one that I tested with on there, it could be moved by hand. And this is, with two hands I could probably move it, but dang, this is really tough. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with, I'm gonna measure it and then install it. So they actually look identical in length here. I could get like actual caliper or something. Maybe this is a little bit longer given the bushing. This looks much bigger, end here. So it should be much sturdier actually. That'll be nice. And this one I can move by hand. This one, not at all. It's really stiff. So I'm gonna go ahead and start installing this. All right guys, so I screwed this on 21 1/4 turns. It's still loose on here. Actually hits a jam nut right there, so we know we're pretty much really on. I'm gonna go ahead and put this through here. Basically just have to get it lined up. It is a really tight new bushing, so I'm gonna go ahead and push it in. Probably have to do it with one hand, and then get the nut on, new castle nut, and then I will torque down the jam nut. All right guys, everything is all done on the Mustang now. The tie rods are torqued down. I greased them. I did, unfortunately, the measurements I had all the way up to it really did put the wheels out of alignment. So I did kind of eyeball it. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but they appear to be, the rotors appear to be straight with the wheels on the driver's side. The passenger side, not like entirely. This side definitely needs some adjustment. Overall, the entire thing needs adjustment. The wheel was straight. It's almost as if like the driver's side has so much thread, I had to push it out more, and that one I had to suck it in more. So maybe like a full turn or something like that of the wheel. I don't know. I'm not an alignment person, so I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and put the wheels on. I might even give it a test drive right now, so we'll see. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been like, I don't know, a week or two since I did the last part of the video here. Still haven't gotten the Mustang aligned yet. Every alignment place that would be capable of aligning it, because I took it to one place, they were like, it's too low for the ramps. I don't know why they couldn't get it up there. But I just searched out an actual performance alignment shop, because I do have an adjustable pan hard bar. It is lowered, since it's a 3-link suspension, as a pan hard bar to align the rear axle, or I guess the differential left to right. So they're going to take care of that going to next week to get it. But I did do a driveway alignment, and this one works really well. So as you can see, we have some jack stands here on the rear and the front. Since this is a live rear axle or just rear wheel drive car, it might work on independent rear suspension, but just because the rear's aligned, I know that for sure. You know, it's straight. You get a piece of string and tie it between those two, get it completely squared up with the tire, and then you can even measure it or just eyeball it, looking straight down the line, just making sure it's straight with the rear tire. And then from there, you can measure how the distance between the wheel, or I guess the tire here, which is just before 1.5 inches. This is like 2 mils short of 1.5 inches. Same with this side as well. So basically did this driveway alignment. It works really well. You don't even need to lift the car even if it's low enough, which this one was. I was able to get under there and just do it. Basically under here. Let's see if I can get it to show you. There it is. So there's the tie rod. On the ground, you just break the nut loose, and then the inside tie rod right here, which I'm touching, has a little groove for a wrench on it, and pulling it in will shorten the tie rod, so it'll bring in the front. Extending it will push it out. So with that in mind, you can measure the 3 and 9 o'clock position of the tire and bring it in or out however you need to. So say when I was measuring it, say this way was inwards, there was 2 inches. Say there was 2 inches, and this was like 1 inch maybe. That means you have to take 1/2 inch out and just bring it in. So actually very easy if you have an independent rear, very easy if you have a live rear axle or just some type of rear wheel drive car where, or at least you know the rear tires are aligned. You can use that pretty easily. This side, passenger side, is done very well. This side is just a little bit off, but it's really, really close. It's within, like, I don't know, it's not that bad off. So it's fine to drive. I took it on a test drive. The wheels do not wiggle when it's up in the air. And the test drive, the steering wheel isn't shaking anymore. Felt really good. The alignment's almost as good as it was before. I'm just excited to get the actual professional alignment because I could adjust it more, but my pan hard bar is still off. The rear axle here, driver's side suck in about 1.75 inches. The other side is pushed out 1.75 inches. So as you can see, we have quite a bit of room here. The other, if it's on the other side, the string is right up next to it, really. So I think that's going to end it off. The whole process of swapping the whole front suspension, all that, because I didn't really do the struts, but it's just 2 bolts on the knuckle and then the 4 bolts on the strut tower. Pretty easy, you don't have to compress anything. All of it super easy, straightforward. Something you can easily do in the driveway. You can even do an alignment in your driveway. Like I said, it's almost as good as it was before. I could drive around with it. Yeah, just want to show you guys that. Check out some of our other videos. We are currently swapping 408 stroker, swapping this Trans Am here. See the whole drivetrain out, 6.7 liter. So it'll be awesome. So yeah, check out our other videos, like, subscribe, and comment down below.